The argali, or the mountain sheep, is a wild sheep that roams the highlands of Central Asia. Description: it is the largest species of wild sheep. The North American bighorn sheep may approach comparable weights but is normally considerably outsized by the argali. Argali stand 85 to 135 centimeters high at the shoulder and measure 136 to 200 centimeters long from the head to the base of the tail. The female, or ewe, is the smaller sex by a considerable margin, sometimes weighing less than half as much as the male, or ram. The ewes can weigh from 43.2 to 100 kilograms and the rams typically from 97 to 328 kilograms, with a maximum reported mass of 356 kilograms. The Pamir argali Argali is the largest race on average, regularly measuring more than 180 centimeters long without the tail, and is less sexually dimorphic in body mass than most other subspecies. The argali has relatively the shortest tail of any wild goat antelope sheep, with reported tail lengths of 9.5 to 17 centimeters. The general coloration varies between each animal, from a light yellow to a reddish-brown to a dark gray-brown. Argali and iron from the Himalayas are usually relatively dark, whereas those from Russian ranges are often relatively pale. In summertime, the coat is often lightly spotted with a salt and pepper pattern. The back is darker than the sides, which gradually lighten in color. The face, tail and buttocks are yellowish-white. The male has a whitish neck ruff and a dorsal crest, and is usually slightly darker in color than the female. Males have two large corkscrew horns, some measuring 190 centimeters in total length and weighing up to 23 kilograms. Males use the horns for competing with one another. Females also carry horns, but they are much smaller, usually measuring less than 50 centimeters in total length. Subspecies and classification. Currently, 9 subspecies of Argali are recognized: Altai Argali, Oe, Amin, Karaganda Argali, Oe, Kolyam, Gobi Argali, Oe, Darwani, Tibetan Argali, Oe, Hodgsoni, North China Argali, Oe, Jabata, Tianshan Argali, Oe, Carolini, Karatau Argali, Oe, Nigri Montana, Marco Polo Argali, Oe, Pali, Sevetsov Argali, Oe, Sevetsovi. Some sources classify Muflonas over salmon musaimin, but DNA testing has not supported this. Several subspecies of Argali have been genetically tested for mtDNA, and one study found the subspecies O. Ammon O. Darwani and the Ural subspecies O. Vini bochariensis grouped closely, while the subspecies O. Kolyam and O. Nigri Montana grouped with the Ural subspecies O. Vini Arkal. Range and habitat. Argali range from central Kazakhstan in the west to the Shanxi province in China in the east, and from the Altai Mountains in the north to the Himalayas to the south. They are a species of mountainous areas, living from elevations of 300 to 5,800 meters. In protected areas, the species generally prefers gently sloping areas with soft broken terrain, although ewes with lambs often take up residence in more precipitous areas, characterized by canyons and jagged rocks. In areas where they are extensively hunted, they are more likely to be found in forested areas. In parts of China and Russia where they compete for resources with numerous domestic stock, Argali more regularly take up residence in precipitous, jagged areas. Argali may search for regions in the mountains where snow cover is not heavy during the winter, following winds that blow snow off the earth. Rams are generally found at higher elevations more regularly than females and stay at higher elevations longer during the winter. Life history. Argalis live in herds typically numbering between 2 and 150 animals, segregated by sex, except during breeding season. Most populations show large numbers of adult females, constituting more than half of the local population, against around 20% adult males and a further 20% young Argali. Some rams are solitary, but most are seen in small herds numbering between 3 and 30 individuals. Females and the young live in larger groups, regularly up to 92 individuals and exceptionally to 200 animals. Migrating herds, especially males, have been reported. Most migration appear to be related to seasonally decreased food sources, though an overabundance of biting insects, severe drought of fires, poaching by humans, and large numbers of domestic livestock may also trigger movements. With the long legs, herds can travel quickly from place to place. Argali tend to live at higher elevations during the summer. Argali reach breeding maturity at 2 to 3 years of age. Rutting may occur from October to mid-January, generally lasting longer in lower elevations. In rutting herds, both rams and ewes attack others of their own sex, exerting dominance by ramming each other with the horns. Although such groups engage in lamb-like play, the combat of a pair of mature males is a serious business. The rams slam into each other, with their forelegs up in the air, exerting enough force to be heard up to 800 meters away. Often, the older males, which are also often the largest, end up the dominant ones, and younger males are chased off once the ewes are in estrus. Once dominance is established, the top rams begin approaching ewes and smell the urine to determine the receptiveness. The ram then repeatedly approaches the ewe and forcibly mounts her. Mating commences around 2 to 3 weeks after the rutting begins. Rams may remain in the company of ewes for up to 2 months after the rutting period is complete. The gestation period lasts a little over 165 days. Births occur in late March or April, with a variable number of females being barren. Most subspecies give birth to a single lamb, though in some races, twins are not uncommon and even as many as 5 have been born at once. At birth, the lambs weigh 2.7 to 4.6 kilograms. The newborn lamb and mother ewe stay around where the birth occurs overnight, and on the next day, both usually walk together. Lambs often play in groups, jumping up and down together, sometimes being joined by the mothers. Weight gain is often quite fast, and the lambs may weigh 10 times the birth weight by the first birthday. Females often attain the maximum mass by 2 years of age, but males appear to continue to grow larger and heavier in the 3rd and 4th years. Milk teeth develop around 3 months of age, with a full set of teeth developing by around 6 months. By the time their teeth develop, lambs are capable grazers, but the ewes continue nursing them from August to May of the following year. Most Argali live 5 to 10 years, but are capable of living 13 years in the wild. Adult Argali eat 16 to 19 kilograms of food a day. The vegetation preferred by the species varies based on elevation and area. In higher elevations, they predominantly eat grasses, sedges, and forbs. At mid-elevation habitats, they more regularly feed on bushes and mesophyte grasses. In the lowest ranges and the spurs of deserts, grasses and sedges again predominate, but often of different species than the high-elevation ones. In north-central Kazakhstan, sprouts, leaves, flowers, and fruits are significant to the diet all year, whereas they appear to be a rare dietary supplement over the rest of the range. Water is needed by Argali, which is rarely a problem for animals living at high elevation, where melting snow and small waterways are regularly encountered. In dry climes, argali may travel several kilometers in search of water. When available, argali readily consume saline soil. Although they are locally sympatric with Siberian ibex, the two species have differing habitat and pasture preferences, reducing likely competition. In Tibet, the argali must regularly compete with other grazing species for pasture, including Tibetan antelope, burrell, feral deer, and wild jacks. Competition is most serious with livestock, especially domestic yak and domestic sheep, with which argali are frequently forced to intermingle and from which they often catch diseases and parasites. The main predator of argali are gray wolves, which often exploit harsh winter conditions to capture the wild sheep, though they can undertake specimens of any age or condition year-round. Where not locally extirpated, snow leopards and leopards are also predators of argali of any age. Eurasian lynx and wolverines may seldom kill argali to at least the size of winter-weakened ewes. Red foxes and domestic dogs will prey on lambs. Cinereous vultures, lammergeiers and golden eagles have been observed circling herds of ewes with lambs in a possibly predatory manner, and remains of argali lambs have been observed in golden eagle nests. Smaller predators, such as raptorial birds and smaller mammalian carnivores, are attacked by mother ewes, but in the presence of larger predators, the ewes quickly run away with the lambs following them. Status: argali are considered an endangered or threatened species throughout their entire range, due largely to habitat loss from overgrazing of domestic sheep and hunting. Is the world's largest sheep. The lure to gather a trophy specimen is strong among sports hunters. They are hunted for both the meat and the horns, used in traditional Chinese medicine, and poaching continues to be a major problem. Argali have been extirpated from northeastern China, southern Siberia, and parts of Mongolia. Populations of predators such as grey wolves and snow leopards have appeared to have been negatively affected by the scarcity of argali. In Pakistan-administered Kashmir, it is listed as an endangered species.